Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I am joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. On today's podcast, we'll bring you all the latest international news, including Scotland qualifying for Euro 2024, reacting to Rangers' latest managerial appointment, and Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So coming up next, we'll be discussing Scotland's qualification to Euro 2024. So on Sunday, the 15th of October, Spain defeated Norway 1-0, which meant that Spain and also Scotland both qualified for next year's tournament in Germany. It is an unbelievable achievement for Scotland, as this is the first time they have automatically qualified for a major tournament since 1997. So Pearse, what's your reaction to Scotland qualifying for Euro 2024?
Absolute phenomenal achievement. And just another notch in the belt for Steve Clarke's Scotland. I think he's done a tremendous job since he took over. In the beginning, it wasn't so rosy. There was even calls for getting him for the sack, but he managed to turn it around and he's now qualified Scotland for back-to-back Euros, which is an unbelievable achievement, considering before then we hadn't qualified for a major tournament since the World Cup in France 1998. Yeah, and obviously the fact is we've got 15 points, 11 points of Spain, an unbelievable achievement. And I'm just looking forward to Germany next summer because I think Scotland can go there and actually compete, and I think they'll show a better showing than they did in Euro 2020.
Yeah, first of all, it's a brilliant achievement. It really is. To qualify for a major tournament with 2 games to spare it's brilliant. It really is. It's this group stage qualifying it's just gone so well. 5 wins from 5. That gives you a brilliant advantage to get to the major tournament. It'd have been nice for Scotland to do it themselves, but the end of the day, they are at the Euros. It's it's really a brilliant achievement. Back to back Euros, as you said, and you were just touching on Steve Clarke there. The biggest compliment I can give Steve Clarke is I think he's made Scotland a feared nation now. I think any team that will, when they know they're going to play Scotland, I think they're going to know they're in for a tough game. And you couldn't have said that over the last 20 years or so. Scotland were a bit of a pushover for a long time, but that's not anymore. That's a really, really good team. So an absolutely brilliant achievement, and it is well deserved. I just want to touch on briefly, Piers, about the Spain the Spain versus Scotland match last week, which finished 2-0 to Spain. Obviously, with Spain winning that match, it meant Scotland could qualify on that day. So what was your reaction to that result?
It's kind of a sickening defeat in the end because obviously Scotland thought they took the lead through Scott McTominay's wonderful free kick. But it was rightly or wrongly, it was ruled out for offside in the end through VAR. And also there was a lot of confusion with that decision. But I think he was offside, Jack Hendry. But I don't think he really interferes with play. But I think Spain, ultimately, we all know they're going to keep a lot of the possession of the ball, and that's what they managed to do. And they managed to score 2 late goals. But I think the sickening blow for Scotland was losing their captain, Andy Robertson, for injury. And obviously, a couple of weeks, I think it was the last 2 weeks ago, Kieran Tierney pulled out injury for Real Sociedad. So that's 2-year back 5 out against probably arguably one of the strongest opponents in the group. And obviously, since that 2-0 defeat at Hampden for Spain, they've been blowing teams away. So, and obviously Scotland's defence has been rock solid, but with 2 key components out, it's going to be a tough task. And obviously, away in Spain in the heat, it was always going to be a tough task. And I thought Spain in the end probably deserved a victory. But obviously Scotland didn't put on the best performance, but yet again, the 15 points beforehand was enough to get the job done. And just qualifying was the most important part, regardless of the result or the performance. It's just about getting the qualification done and then just building on that and preparing for next summer.
Yeah. Obviously the match doesn't really matter anymore because Scotland have qualified now. But just touching briefly on it, I actually thought it was quite a good performance in Scotland in terms of a defensive approach. I felt defensively they played really well. Kind of really did well, kind of shutting Spain out. They got the first goal of the game through Scott McTominay's free kick, which we all thought was a brilliant goal, and it got ruled out for VAR. But um, I'm still a bit, I still don't understand why he got ruled out. I thought it was a perfectly reasonably good goal, but it got ruled out by VAR. And I think if Scotland did go 1-0 up in that game, I actually do think they would have picked something up in the game because they were defending so well. But after Scotland's VAR goal got disallowed, Spain kind of got the first goal in the game. And, you were just touching on it, Spain probably did deserve to win. They did create the most chances in the game. They did dominate the game. But, it was quite harsh on Scotland because I thought Scott McTominay's free kick was a reasonably, legal goal. But VAR didn't think so. And but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter anymore because Scotland are at the Euros. So we don't really need to worry about that match anymore. I just want to ask you, Pearse, what do you think it's Scotland's biggest strength in this qualifying group stage?
What's the biggest strength? I would say
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
the unity amongst the squad, because and obviously the system as well. Everyone just kind of knows their place in the squad, and when someone drops out for injury and someone comes in, it's just seamlessly. It's like a transition that just seamlessly happens. They just know their role and they know what their job is in the specific position. And when we've been playing against sides, it's been pretty competitive in terms of we defend as a unit, but we also attack as a unit. We've got a five at the back, but when we attack, it's like six forwards basically almost. And obviously flying wing backs and Aaron Hickey, Andy Robertson, and even the underlap with Kieran Tierney on the left hand side of the centre back as well. So no in and out of possession, hard working, lot of energy, high intensity pressing, and obviously that goes to show with obviously Scott McTominay, been phenomenal in terms of goal scoring ability, and that's what because Scotland don't have, like you say, like a Harry Kane, a number 9 that would just guarantee you goals every game. Scotland have got a system and a team that work hard and they work for each other, and there's goals all over the park, and that's what Scotland need. Because the fact is, when you've not got a world class number 9, you need to spread the goals about the team, and that's what they've done. And like you say, like Scotland, you mentioned it, that Scotland were kind of like a pushover in recent times before Steve Clarke. Well, Hampden now a fortress. I don't know when the last time Scotland got beat at Hampden, but they've been picking up pretty much win after win, and obviously beating the Giants of Spain at Hampden is obviously a massive scalp, and that will send shockwaves to the rest of the world in terms of when they come to Hampden, it won't be an easy tie like previous years, and that's the biggest compliment I can give Steve Clarke, because his Scotland side has now been now they're second Euros, and the future's very bright for Scotland.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think their biggest strength is their unity. I think what the biggest thing that's been impressive with Steve Clarke is that every camp that he's basically picked the same players every camp. And the fact that all these players are continuously coming to the camp and wanting to play for Scotland is such a big thing as well. Because that wasn't the case, say, 10 years ago. There was lots of players dropping out because they had like a little injury and they really wanted to concentrate on their club career. But that's not the case. All these players that are regularly getting picked for Scotland are wanting to play. And that means that they're picking up more international caps, which means that they're getting more experience. And the more they play together, the better they become. And that unity has meant that their mental strength has got better. The fact that they go 1-0 down against Norway away from home, everybody thinks that they're going to lose that game, and then they score two late goals right at in the last minutes of the game to win the game. It just kind of shows the mental strength that they've got. But it's definitely unity for me, their biggest strength. And yeah, and as I said earlier on, they are a team they are a team to fear. I think any team that plays Scotland know they're going to be in for a tough match nowadays. So yeah, brilliant. Just lastly about Scotland, Pearse, what do you think their next steps are? So what do you want to see now that they've qualified for the major tournament?
Well, I think the next step for Scotland has to be trying to make out the group in terms of the Euros in Germany, and then further down the line is qualify for a World Cup. I think that would be the cherry on top of the cake. I think that would just seal Steve Clarke as one of the Scotland's greatest ever managers if you could manage that. Because I think the fact is back-to-back Euros is a massive achievement, but the first step by step, he's got a process, he's got a plan that he wants to implement Scotland to be a successful force. And the higher up the pot, Scotland have got an easier chance of qualifying for all these major tournaments. And obviously, like you said, the group's very, very unified. And obviously, with being back-to-back Euros, it's just trying to make out the group. Depends on the group stage draw, because we're obviously Scotland are notoriously get really tough groups, and obviously it's going to be hard to perform in obviously the heat in Germany in the summer. But we'll do our best as Scots, because we don't tan very well. But
No,
hopefully,
you're absolutely right.
so hopefully that can we can combat that by putting on some factor 70.
Yeah, I think we'll need a whole bottle of it.
Aye. So
Um,
that's the plan, and then obviously I think, like you say, qualifying for the next World Cup, that'd be an unbelievable achievement, and just build the statue now for Steve Clarke.
yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm just before they go into the Euros, I hope that Scotland set up a lot of good friendly matches against like good sides, because now that they've qualified, there's not going to be any real competitive matches anymore for a good year now. So you don't want to go into Euros, and you've not really played that many good matches, because you want to really be well prepared going into that. So I hope Scotland play some good friendlies before the Euros, and then in the Euros, as you said, um, I'd love to see them getting out of that group stage, because that's never happened before at a major tournament at all in Scotland's history. So that would be fantastic, and they're well capable of doing it, I think. Obviously, depending on who they get in the group stage, I think they're really capable of doing that. So yeah, that's kind of the future, and as you said, even in the longer future, getting to that World Cup would be amazing. So no, it's really good times at the moment. Really good times. So we also found out last week that Scotland. Well, no, sorry. Just before we talk about that, we also found out that alongside Scotland and Spain, five other teams have qualified for Euro 2024, and they include Belgium, France, Portugal, Turkey, and Austria. So, Pearse, which nation from this list has impressed you the most during the qualifying stage?
It's got to be Portugal, I think. I think they've won eight. I think they've won maximum points so far. And they've only conceded 2 goals. Similar to Scotland, they're very good going forward, and pretty solid at the back as well. And obviously, um, Ronaldo's still scoring goals for Portugal, which is an unbelievable achievement. I think he's played 201 appearances now for Portugal, which is a record. So phenomenal achievement for him, and 4 goals the last 2 games as well for a 38 Cristiano Ronaldo. And there doesn't really seem to be the next in line to replace Ronaldo. So I think he's going to be probably starting at the Euros next summer, which will be a 6th consecutive Euros for Cristiano Ronaldo, which will be a record, and something I'm very much looking forward to, because I think he's the he's like the golden generation, him and Messi of our childhood. Once they retire, it'll be a very sad time. And I think obviously it'll be very exciting to see that. And I think Portugal have been pretty strong because they've got so much attacking talent across the front line. Could you look at their bench as well the other night? They had Bernardo Silva on it. They had Diego Jota. The list goes on. Like so much talent. It's pretty much like Man City in club football. Like, there's so much talent, and you're going to upset some players that don't play. So I think the other ones are the standout ones for me.
Yeah, I'd agree. Portugal for me as well. I think since Roberto Martinez has come in as Portugal manager, I think he's done really well. I think the biggest thing if you take over as the Portugal manager is if you keep Ronaldo happy. And I think Ronaldo's speaking the other day about Roberto Martinez and telling him and saying how good a manager he is. So the fact that Ronaldo's saying that, it means that your job's going to get a little bit easier. But no, Portugal, they won last they won last night 5-0, and they went 5-0 up at half time, away to Bosnia. The fact that they went 5-0 up at half time is really impressive. And yeah, they just seem to be going really well at the moment. And as you said, I think everybody knows about their attacking players. It's just amazing. You know, it's one of the best squads in the world. Um, and as you said, Ronaldo's been really, really good in this qualifying group stage. And it most likely will be starting at the Euros next summer. So let's hope he doesn't get an injury because this will most likely maybe be his last Euros before he retires. So, but also saying that I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't. So, yeah, no, Portugal they've been my standouts so far. So I just wanted to briefly touch on the fact that England could also qualify for Euro 2024. That starts with tonight at the time of recording this. And they're playing Italy at Wembley, and if they beat Italy, then they're going to the Euros. So, Piers, how do you think this match will play out?
I just don't think Italy is as strong as they were back in Euro 2020. A lot of the team that played that, especially the back line, the Chiellini, Bonucci. So the Chiellini's playing in MLS and Bonucci's now playing in Germany, and obviously both think they've both retired from international duty. And obviously they've not got Ciro Mobley. I think so. I think the striker will be Scamacca. And you look at the front line, it's pretty woeful to be honest. Italy are going through a transition period where they're not really promoting or developing that many top class players as they used to because they're a massive nation and they've obviously seen the winners of the World Cup and Euros in the past, but I do fear for Italy in this game. I think England will win this one at a canter because they fortunately played their B side the other night where they defeated Australia 1-0. And I think also the 18 that come in, like your Harry Kane, your Rashford, Saka, etc., Grealish and all that. I think it'll be too much for them. And I don't because obviously Italy with the fighting talk before the before the training session, we will die for each other, stuff like that. But I think that will be in vain. I think England will have just a bit too much for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think England, especially the fact that England are at home as well, I think they will have too much for Italy. As you said, Italy are going through a transitional period. You know, they've got a new manager in Luciano Spalletti, who won the Serie A last season. But he has actually started quite well as Italy manager. You know, there's not really a lot of depth of Italian players coming through at the moment. They are kind of struggling to build a really, really good squad. Um, and also as well, we found out that Sandro Tonali, Zaniolo, and Fagioli, they all got sent home because of illegal betting charges. So that's another thing that they've got to deal with. And the fact that they're going to lose Zaniolo and Tonali, they won't play against England that's going to really kind of hamper their chances as well. So yeah, overall, I do think England will win that match. I think England probably would comfortably win that match, and I think they will qualify for the Euros tonight. So we will now move on to Rangers managerial appointment. So on Sunday, 15th of October, Rangers announced that they had appointed Philippe Clement as their new manager. So the Belgium arrives at Ibrox having signed a 3.5 year contract, and upon joining the club, he said, "I am honoured to have been appointed as a new manager of Rangers Football Club, and I'd like to thank the board for giving me this opportunity." So Pearse, what's your reaction to Rangers appointing Philippe Clement?
Yeah, I think Rangers have done a decent job. I think they had to get someone appointed during the international break because I don't think they could have Stephen Davis as in caretaker charge much longer because they've got pretty important matches coming domestically and in Europe. And obviously they need to try and pick up as many points as possible and be as flawless as they can to catch Celtic at the top of the league. They're 7 points behind at the moment, and that can't stretch any further, especially if you're a manager of Rangers. You have to win matches every week, and that's the demand. And obviously, you mentioned it last week in the podcast. Philippe Clement's got a decent pedigree, having managed Monaco and a couple of sides in Belgium. And I think he was a standout candidate in my opinion, because obviously I thought Kevin Muscat would have been the ideal candidate in terms of someone that's been there, done that. But his Japanese season's still going on. He had a cup semi-final the other night, which they narrowly lost. And they still got 5 league games, so I think Rangers couldn't wait to December to appoint him. And I think the fact that Philippe Clement was available and was willing to become the new Rangers manager made him the standout candidate. And it'll be exciting to see what kind of style he implements on the team and what kind of players he'll leave in, or what players he'll figure out on the training pitch, which ones will suit his system. Because I think a lot of the Rangers players under Michael Beale were confused of what he asked to do at times. And obviously, if he gets his message across this week, in the build up to his first match, then he should hopefully hit the ground running for them.
Yeah, I think it is a really good appointment. I think I said last week that I think he is the manager that Rangers should go for. I said that because of his pedigree. He managed Club Brugge in Genk in Belgium, and at Club Brugge he won 3 titles in a row. And we all know that Rangers are, you have to win, and you have to win trophies as well. And the fact that he's got that experience of winning trophies, he knows how to kind of get that job done. And at Monaco as well, he did a kind of a decent job there. And he did really well. He did a decent job. Um, it was between Clement and Muscat. But I think we all kind of knew that Muscat wanted to wait until the season finished at Yokohama, and Rangers can't afford that wait. They kind of have to get someone in this international break due to the way the team is at the moment. The confidence isn't high, and they are a number of points behind Celtic at the moment. And they've also got a semi-final of a cup coming up, so they had to get someone in this international break, and it's Philippe Clement, and it's a really interesting appointment, as you said as well. I'm kind of excited to see how he comes into Rangers and how he kind of settles into Scottish football, because we all know it's a different kind of league. It's not your kind of usual leagues. It is between two sides, so it'll be interesting to see how he deals with that kind of Glasgow environment. And yeah, I think it's really, really interesting. So what do you think are his immediate priorities?
Just try to get his message across to the team in terms of what kind of formation he wants to play, what role he wants the players to be in terms of like the fullbacks. Does he want them bombing on? Does he want them inverted? Does he want them sitting back, or does he want his wingers to come inside? Does he want them to keep the width? And obviously, like you said, he's got a number of players in different positions that like the squad has got a lot of quality across the board, but it's just trying to find that right solution. and get that message across as quickly as possible because, like you say, at Celtic and Rangers, you don't get a lot of time. And the fact is, there's 7 points behind Celtic already this early in the season, and he's at a cup semi-final to look forward to in the not too distant future. So he's got a chance to win the silver before January. So that's the incentive to try get everyone on board and build that confidence and just win football matches. But no, for me, the most important thing is just trying to find the right formation and style of play and get the players buying into that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you're totally right. Buying into his ideas is obviously one of his immediate priorities, but I think I think that one of his immediate priorities is kind of getting the fans back on side. Because I think the fans have kind of drifted away from that Rangers team recently. It's at Ibrox, the atmosphere hasn't been great. So I think for Clement, I think that one of his big priorities is, try and get the fans and the players connected again. And because if that happens, Ibrox we all know is a really hard place to go to. And if they get that connection back with the fans, teams are going to come to Ibrox and they're going to find it really hard, especially in Europa League. So that connection, as you said, his ideas, which obviously he will want to do, and I think as well, I think Rangers have to settle on a settled team, a settled starting 11. I think when Michael Beale was in charge, um, the team switched around too much. I know injuries have kind of hampered that, but I think they have to have a continuous starting 11, because that will build consistency as well. So there's a lot of stuff to do for him, and yeah, we'll see how he gets on, and we'll talk about it more in the future podcasts. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so we've had obviously the conclusion of the international break for both Japan and South Korea. So they played on Friday, the 13th of October. So Japan beat Canada by 4-1, and South Korea beat Tunisia by 4-0. And then both of them played tonight, just before this podcast started. So the both results are Japan 2, Tunisia 0, and South Korea 6, Vietnam 0. And I'll have that podcast, the match report on the South Korea 6, Vietnam 0, in the next couple of hours. So that'll be available tonight, and obviously going more in depth about that match. And that's been a fantastic week for both Japan and South Korea. Japan have before tonight's match they'd won the last 5 matches by at least 4 goals. Prior to this evening's results, where they defeated. So this is the run of results for Japan. Japan 4, Canada 1. Japan 4, Turkey 2. Germany 1, Japan 4. Japan 4, Peru 1. And Japan 6, El Salvador 0. For me, Japan are a phenomenal side, and bit similar to Portugal and England. They've got a lot of attacking talent across that front line, because they chop and change it, and the players just come in seamlessly. Because like you say, Celtic striker Kyogo Furuhashi and Daizameda, they're like the B team, to be honest. When they come in, they score goals because they've got players like Karamatoma, Ritsu Doan, Junior Ito, Ayase Ueda, and Nakamura, to name a few. Kaito Nakamura, that is. Yeah, so in terms of other Asian football news, so the stage is set for the Japanese League Cup final, where Avispa Fukuoka will face Ura Red Diamonds in the Japan National Stadium on Saturday, the 4th of November, and the kickoff will be 5 past 1 Japan Southern Time. Yeah, so the semi-final, so the result of that final is because the semi-final matches were played on Sunday, the 15th of October, where Nagoya Grampus lost at home to Avispa Fukuoka 1-0, and Ura Red Diamonds defeated We touched on it earlier. UCAM F Marinos 2-0 to reach the final. So that's going to be a thrilling encounter. The chance for the first piece of silver in terms of the Japanese league domestic season. So Son Heung-min has been named the FEA Sports Player of the Month for September. This is an award for his and Tottenham's electric start to the season, which sees Spurs sit in the Barclays Premier League, top of the tree, and Son has 6 Premier League goals in just 8 Premier League matches. And following on for that, we've got former Celtic and UCAM F Marinos boss Ange Postecoglou has now made it 2 Manager of the Month awards in a row as he takes the Premier League by storm in this exciting and attacking Tottenham Hotspur side. So Darmstadt and Mainz are interested in signing Jumbo Hyundai Motors midfielder Pike Seung-Ho. Pike's current deal expires in December and he's already rejected a renewal offer to stay as midfielders eyeing another crack at European football. Having previously played for 3 Spanish sides in FC Barcelona, Girona, CF Peralta, and his old club Darmstadt, who could possibly be a destination for Pike in the winter window. And that's all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.